Hi everyone, and welcome to the Ratatouille Asobo Somewhere in France House Advanced Movement tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be showing you the movement required in house as well as any tips and tricks you might need. This is going to be an in-depth breakdown video, firstly starting with an uncommentated run of house and then followed by a breakdown of all the tips, tricks and strategies you need to get a world record pace house. Enjoy! So, to begin, before even gaining control of Remy, you want to hold a forward direction towards the apple on the bed. So firstly, dropping off the windowsill onto the bed and then from the bed onto the floor. You do not need to jump at all during this sequence, but it may require a little bit of practice to hold that direction towards the apple on the bed instantly before even gaining control of Remy. After dropping off the bed, your camera should move automatically so you are in the perfect position to collect the apple on the book. However, this isn't always the case and you may be a bit too far to the right to collect the apple on the book, and this can often lead to Remy bonking as you try and correct your course to collect the apple on the book, and which can often lead to a reset during a run. However, with practice you will get more used to spotting this happening and be able to correct sooner so this does not happen. Also, I find that holding forward a little bit longer after you've fallen off the bed as your camera is shifting tends to set you up better to collect that apple on the book. After you've collected the apple on the book, you want to keep sprinting, and then on the little ledge before a meal, you want to do a sprint cancel, which is when you release sprint for a split second and then before applying it again, so you can just get the maximum speed. Otherwise, you will bonk into the cutscene. It doesn't really lose that much time, but it will lose a couple of milliseconds. So that's the first part. So, after talking to Emil, you'll be on poles. There is a trick called fast pole swings which you can do, which will save 6 to 7 seconds in your run, and is a beginner-friendly trick, and I would highly recommend adding to your run due to its low difficulty level and the amount of time save it has. Now, to do fast pole swings, when you are coming up to a pole, you want to spam both the action button and the jump button at the same time as you are going underneath the pole. This should cause Remy to release the pole at the earliest possible moment and jump onto the next one. If you repeat this for the 7 poles in this sequence, you will save that 6 to 7 seconds. Now, if you are struggling with this, if you're not able to spam, whether you are playing on a controller or you have difficulty spamming on a mouse and keyboard, then there is another method called the timing method, in my opinion. That's at least the name I call it, which involves you pressing the action button before you reach the pole when you're about Remy is halfway in the air, and then as you are going underneath the pole, at the right moment you double tap the jump button to get Remy to release. Now, there is one final method, which is a method I personally do, which is a mix of both, and it involves pressing the action button once again before getting to the pole, and then spamming the jump button as you go underneath the pole. Now, I recommend the method I'm using, which is the third method, especially if you are playing on Wii or if you struggle with timing and spamming, as in my opinion, it is the most consistent trick. This trick is also said to be easier on higher FPS, though it has not been proven itself, though other runners have tended to find that the higher your FPS is, the easier the trick is. So, just a little heads up there. So, after going through all the poles and grabbing the apple in the end, we're on to the next section. After collecting the apple after poles, you're going to drop down onto the rug and then single jump up onto the rug and run alongside the rug, and then drop down again after you're running along the wooden object. On Wii especially, there is a slight camera manipulation that happens, which causes you to have to run slightly diagonally and closer to the object on the right before dropping down, otherwise your camera will move. So just keep that in mind if you are playing on a Wii console, and this will take a little bit of practice. For all other consoles though, there has not been a problem, so just drop down normally and head straight towards the bed. Now, as you're heading straight towards the bed, you will notice there is a little object in front of you. You just quickly want to go to the right and then sprint cancel, or just to avoid Remy changing direction too quickly and Remy causing Remy to spin, and then do bed jump onto the bed. And then once doing that, single jump and run forward and collect the apple. Now, to explain bed jump is a fairly difficult trick and is easier as you increase your FPS. So the lower your FPS, the harder you will find this trick. This trick is possible though on all FPS, I believe, as I play on 50 FPS and I can get this trick incredibly consistently. So, to do bed jump, what you have to do is after going around the final little corner object, you want to sprint towards the bed and double jump, constantly holding the forward direction. Now this is key. Now by holding this forward direction, you have the highest possible chance of getting onto the bed. If you are holding a slightly diagonal direction or slightly off direction, Remy will not perform bed jump. Now, if you are operating at a lower FPS, walking before attempting bed jump and moving your camera angle so your camera angle is perpendicular to the bed, and then jumping while holding forward will make this trick a lot easier. This is the method I use to get bed jump 100% of the time. Now, after jumping up onto the bed, you need to collect the apple behind the box. Now, the one difficulty is that Remy can do a spin around if you are too quick and you do not release sprint. Now, my method for collecting the apple is to be holding sprint the entire way towards the box, and then as you get past the box, you want to veer around to the left, collect the apple, and then release sprint for a few milliseconds, or at least enough time for Remy to come out the sprint position, and then you can come back and off the bed, and then drop down. No jumping is required at all during this section, apart from just to get onto the bed mattress. Once dropping down, you are going to run alongside the wooden object towards the little house underneath the net. Now, as you get to the bottom of the ramp into the house, you want to double jump, and then getting to the apex of the roof of that house, you want to aim Remy up to the right, double jump onto net, and then double jump again, and then double jump, and then single jump. Now, it is key that you do a single jump, as this does save time. Now, this is where console and PC do diverge on this section. So, firstly, to explain PC, it's very simple. You are going to single jump off, collect the apple and die, and then go through the cutscene as quickly as possible by spamming for it, and then you'll be placed on top of the first part after doing swings. Now, you want to drop down and then go towards the coloured box, and then collect the apple that is behind the box, holding sprint, and then do a sprint cancel to go to the left and go and talk to Emil. If you are on console, which I'm showing now, you are going to still do that single jump after nets, but instead convert it into a double jump and land without taking full damage. This is key for later on. You are then going to head straight towards that coloured box again, being careful not to bonk anything, and still do that sprint cancel, and then go and talk to Emil. If you are wondering why there is a slight change in the PC versus console route, this is because PC uses load remove timing, and therefore the loading time that is during the death animation, that is not adding to your final time. and whereas console, which is using real-time attack, this loading time is too long and it is actually faster not to die in this section. For the final section of tutorial, after talking to Emil, you want to sprint towards the ball and double jump onto it. There is no need to use the action button as Remy will automatically lock onto the ball and jump on top of it. Then, before you are able to move on the ball, you want to be spamming the sprint button and you want to be aiming your Joy-Con or keybinds towards the first apple that is present, and then just before Remy collides with that first apple, you want to stop on the ball as Remy does not need to go through the apple to collect it. Once collected the first apple, you want to aim towards the corner of the wooden object after the ants, and then while still spamming sprint, you want to go through the ants and you should collect all the apples while aiming towards the wooden corner. Then still spamming sprint, you want to make sure you avoid the wooden corner just so Remy does not get caught up on the ball. And then after passing that object, you want to aim towards the sofa where you'll see a white coloured box on the sofa, and you want to aim just to the left of this white coloured box. And as Remy gets close to the sofa on the ball, you want to jump up onto the sofa, making sure you collect the apple onto the sofa, and then single jump onto the box, and then single jump onto the windowsill. Timing is key for this section, as you can jump instantly upon landing. However, spamming does not produce the best results, as some might believe. Instead, timing your jumps is the most effective way to get through this section. No double jumps are needed for this section, as if you also get your timing wrong, you may end up having a ledge grab, which will inevitably end up losing you about a second. And then going through the hole on the windowsill, you've exited house. I hope this tutorial has helped you see the world record strats that are used and the movement and any tips or tricks required as well during this section. Using these strategies, you should be able to achieve a top level time in-house in Ratatouille Asobo. Good luck with all your future speedrunning of Ratatouille, and have fun!